Hello, everybody, and today is August 21st. It's a Saturday. Welcome to Enjoy the Movies, where I put in my 2 cents about movies. It's been forever since I made one of these Enjoy the Movies clips, and I figured now's a time to actually do it because I saw a lot of movies in the past month or so. So definitely worth catching up with. So, anywho, 4 movies I want to talk about today are all big action movies that have been out in the theater for maybe about a couple months or so, or just came out, depending on which movie we're talking about. But movies I want to go over are Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, The Expendables, Salt, and Inception. So let's just jump right in and start talking about Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. Now, if you haven't seen this trailer, definitely go watch it first of all, and you'll kind of start to understand the premise. It is this ridiculously crazy, action-packed, fully equipped with special effects and lots of crazy action. And the plot premise: there's this boy played by Michael Cera, and he meets this girl, and what ends up happening is he wants to date said girl, but what he has to do is fight through her the League of Seven Deadly Exes. Throughout the entire movie, you see him doing these crazy fight scenes, and it's kind of ridiculous because when you first start seeing it, you see Michael Cera as like this scrawny little kid, and you don't think he can fight, and then he starts kicking butt, and it's ridiculous. It's kind of hilarious in a way, but I nonetheless still found the movie quite amusing. It's a very fun movie. If you don't know the big selling point of this movie, it's all the nerdy geeky references, basically referring to lots of video games and things like that. So it's pretty much a gamer movie. If you don't really like video games or the video game culture, you probably won't enjoy this movie as much or really understand what's going on, but it's definitely something. It's a must watch for any gamer. So it's actually, if you're a huge fan of like 8-bit videos, I'm not really giving anything away here, but the beginning, you know how it's if there's this Universal movie, you see the Earth and then the Universal logo scroll across the front. Well, for this movie, that opening part is done in I would say 16-bit, and the music is done in 8-bit. So it's definitely quite amusing. So, for the most part, all of the people in this movie, nobody's really that famous. I would just say the only other famous person is Jason Schwartzman, and I won't really give away his character because it might give away, something in the movie. But let's just say he's probably one of the 7 deadly X's. So there's that. The characters are actually very well developed. I feel like that was all good, well done. It's very entertaining. It really doesn't. The pacing's very good. The one exception that I would make is that there's a lot of scenes that go by really fast. So maybe seeing a second or third time, it would probably be really worth it. If not, I'll just buy it on DVD or something. So maybe I'll get it on Blu-ray. I have PS3, so I can definitely get it on Blu-ray now. Anyway, so that's Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. I say if you're a gamer or you love nerdy geeky culture, definitely recommend watching it. If not, then I would say don't worry about it. It's not such a huge deal. But for me personally, I would want to support this movie just because it's pretty much a movie made for me and made for people like me. So it's definitely interesting. All right, next movie I want to talk about is The Expendables. Now, if you haven't seen the trailer for this movie, you pretty much see so many huge action stars in this movie. There's Sylvester Stallone, Jason Statham, Jet Li, Bruce Willis, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Mickey Rourke. I mean, there's so many huge action stars in this movie. It's kind of ridiculous. I was like, oh my god, I have to see that movie when I first saw it. And I ended up seeing it, and I'll tell you what I think at the end, but let's just start jumping in about the plot of the movie. You pretty much join this ragtag team of a few of these gentlemen, about 3 or 4 of them, and they are called the Expendables. They're pretty much this independent mercenary group that gets hired by organizations to do dirty work, mostly killing people, I would imagine. So that's how it starts. The main crew consists of Sylvester Stallone's character, Jason Statham, and Jet Li, and their names are hilarious. Okay, well, maybe not all of their names, but Sylvester Stallone's character, his name is Barney Ross. Okay, so not such huge, but I would not expect him to be named Barney. Okay, all right, next one. Jason Statham's character, he's Lee Christmas. And then Jet Li's character's name, I thought this was the funniest one. Yin Yang. I mean, it's not Yin Yang because that's actually how what it's spelled, but his character name is Yin Yang. So it's anyway. I thought that was ridiculous. So, okay, moving on. At some point during the movie, they get a tip for a job in order to go kill this person, but then they go investigate and find out that it's, a little bit more complicated than what it actually appears like, and there's this girl involved, and pretty much they walk away, and at some point there's some other plot device that makes them have to go back, and they have to go do the job anyway. So I won't tell you what any of that was. I won't really tell you what Bruce Willis and Arnold Schwarzenegger's role, but it's actually, they have very short cameos. They're probably on screen time is like 3 minutes. Something really small. But the joke that they throw in there with Arnold Schwarzenegger is hilarious. So you definitely have to watch out for that. It's pretty blatant, so you can't really miss it. So it's definitely interesting to watch. And I was in the theater and everybody was laughing. It was pretty crazy. So, now for the rest of the movie, there's a lot of action. The pacing's very good. It doesn't really stop for too long. It doesn't have too much. It doesn't have really any confusing parts at all to it. But there's a lot of killing, a lot of blood, and a lot of limbs. So just keep that in mind. However, I would not quite say that it's gory or disgusting in any violent way. It's just there's just a lot of killing. And some of the weapons that they have in this movie, crazy. One of my favorite parts later where there's somebody does something clever and then there's a fire pit or a fire ring. It is pretty. When you watch it, you'll kind of understand. So, all right. As far as the entire movie, I would say it's a very entertaining movie. It's definitely worth a watch at least once. But there's really no depth to it. It doesn't really make you think. There's not as much cleverness. I mean, for the most part, I feel like it's kind of stereotyped. Scott Pilgrim, if you've played a lot of games and seen a lot of movies, that's all stereotyped, but it's like cleverly architected in a way so that it's all put together and pretty original. But the Expendables here, not so much, really clever or anything. It's a pretty straightforward plot just for, I would imagine, the action. So I would say it's worth the watch, but it's nothing. It's not great, but I liked it, so I can't really complain.